Introducing ViziSmart Founder Talks, where we interview exceptional leaders making an impact in our world.
Today, we're talking to Marlin Wilton, founder of Resilient Life Technologies.
Hi, Marlin. Thank you so much for being here today. We're so excited to get to speak with you.
Hi, Bianca.
Can you tell us a little bit about your story and how you started building the business that you did?
Sure. I'm Marlin Wilton. I'm the co-founder of Resilient Life Technologies, which I started with Bob Chamberlain, a local home builder. After 30 years as an oil and gas engineer, I transitioned into smart home technology for seniors, veterans, and individuals with disabilities. Our company focuses on simplifying and personalizing home automation, things like voice control, fall detection, health monitoring, and virtual check-in systems, all to help people live independently and safely in their home.
That's quite a mission. What actually inspired you to serve veterans and to serve disabled?
Well, I've always been very interested in smart home technology. When smart home technology first started coming out, I'm going to say around 2012 is when I started getting interested in buying things for my own house and learning what it could do. Of course, at that time, I was still working in oil and gas. But by 2015, I left that industry to do some other things in real estate and a little bit in the smart home, but I didn't know really where we were going with this at the time. But when we first started this business, I started installing smart home technology in some new homes. It was not for seniors, it was just smart home technology for the people buying the homes, automated lights and thermostats and such. But after talking with Bob, the home builder, he had recently gotten a certification he got an aging in place certification from the Home Builders Association. And we got to talking how smart home technology could help people age in place. So that's where we started. We weren't doing anything for veterans at that time, but we started developing applications to help people stay at home longer as opposed to going to assisted living. Most people don't look forward to going to assisted living and want to stay in their own home. And that's what our applications do, is they help people stay in their home longer, provide them with just a little help that they need. Somebody with the VA had heard what we were doing and contacted us. And so since that time, we've installed systems for multiple disabled veterans through the VA. We really enjoy doing that because a lot of these guys, they're in wheelchairs, they're, quadriplegics, some of them can't even get out of bed or even use their arms or hands. So we come in and automate a lot of the functions that they would like to do, so they don't have to ask somebody to turn on the TV, or they don't have to ask somebody to change the thermostat or turn their light on or off or their ceiling fan. And so through the VA, we have done multiple installations for disabled veterans. But our focus is also on the elderly. And we probably do more for the elderly than the veterans, but our goal is to help somebody stay at home as long as they can.
Yeah. Can you walk me through a little bit like how it works? I am an elderly person at home and I don't want to go to care. I have a lot of pride, but I need a little bit of help. Like what would your system do for me? Like how could it help me?
Well, it depends on everybody's situation is a little different. Mm-hmm. And so we'll start by talking with the individual and find out what their needs are. Mm-hmm. Do they live alone? Do they live with an elderly spouse? Because it makes a difference as to what you might need in your home. Say though, if you live alone but you're fairly high functioning as a senior, we could install things such as fall detection in the bathroom and in the bedroom. The bathroom is the place where probably 80% of falls happen. And so we could install fall detection in the bathroom. We can install sensors that can automatically turn on lights if that's something that's helpful, such as somebody gets up late at night to go to the bathroom. A light can automatically come on. It can automatically come on dim so it doesn't blind your eyes because it's dark. We install like a ring doorbell. A ring doorbell is very helpful to a lot of people in that they can know who's at their door before answering it. They can have say like an Amazon Echo device that has a screen on it that it can pop up on their screen and they can see who's at the front door and not even get out of their chair. They can answer it from that screen. Caregivers, such as family, they can get information on the person in a way that's non-invasive, does not invade their privacy. We don't use cameras in the house, but they can get information to let them know that their loved one is okay, such as one of our applications we call ambient assisted living. And it involves sensors. It uses AI. So we'll have several sensors around the house on say doors, on all the exit doors. And then we'll have a couple of fall detection devices. We'll have motion sensors, maybe 3 or 4 motion sensors around the house that the system, through its AI, will learn the individual's behaviors, such as, say, they normally get up at 8 in the morning. Well, if it gets much past 8 and there's no motion in the house, the system will notify, say, a caregiver or a loved one that the person is usually up by now, but there has been no motion yet this morning. And so then that person can give them a call, just check on them, make sure they're okay. Maybe they were just sleeping late that day. Also, we can say when they leave the house, say they go out for a walk in the neighborhood. The system learns that they do that, and they're usually gone for about an hour. Well, if someday they go out and they don't return, and it's getting to be, let's say, an hour and a half, the system will let the people know that they have identified they want as their contacts, say a family member or a caregiver. It will let them know that they have left the house and they're normally back in a less period of time. And so you might want to check on them. There's all kinds of checks like that that the system can do. We actually use this system with my mother-in-law who lives in Pennsylvania. And my wife had noticed she was getting up and going to the bathroom a lot more at night than she had been. And that information's gathered through a motion sensor. If, say, at 3 in the morning, there was motion in the bathroom, you can assume somebody got up and went to the bathroom. Well, with her mom, all of a sudden, she was going to the bathroom more and more at night, but she wasn't saying anything. So my wife asked her, so, Mom, I noticed from the system here, you're getting up a lot more in the night, going to the bathroom. Is there anything wrong? And through that, they figured out she had a urinary tract infection and was able to get her to the doctor probably a little earlier than her mom would, because her mom wasn't saying anything, wasn't volunteering anything until she was asked.
Yeah, it's incredible. And it's so valuable for people. Like, these small little changes that you can add to your home can save lives.
Yes, it can. And a lot of people think that this is very expensive. It's not expensive technology. It's of course, everybody's different and requires different levels of devices and such. But say the system that I just described to you that uses the AI on just a typical, say, like a 3-bedroom house, you can have that installed for probably about $1,500.
Wow.
And then there is an ongoing monthly fee, about $50. But that's a relatively low cost if, especially if the alternative is going to assisted living and you're paying thousands of dollars a month.
Absolutely. And there's so many people who don't want to go there. That's more of like a concession for the family at the end of a long-standing discussion.
Right. That many times, and we're going through this with our own parents right now. You worry about your parents at home, and when you know nothing of what's going on at home, you worry more. When you have some of these non-invasive insights into motion patterns and you actually can see them go out the front door on the Ring camera, it brings a lot of peace of mind to, the family members that are actually looking after their aging parent.
Of course. Wow. So can you describe a little bit about how these things work? Are you using existing tools and then combining all of them to make this offering? Or it sounds like you have one app that you're pairing, maybe another voice assisted app, kind of putting it all together. How does that work? A lot of the devices we use are off the shelf items that anybody could go buy and anybody could go install. However, what things we do is we understand the compatibility between these various devices, and we choose things that can work together, and then we tie them together. We make them work together. Now that becomes a little more difficult for just the average person, but you can get a lot more out of these devices. For instance, we did an installation about a month ago for an elderly couple. They were in their late 70s. The wife was in good health for an upper 70s woman. The husband had dementia. Oh.
And but they are still in a position that they can stay at home. But what she needed was to know if he was leaving the house, because he would sometimes just wander out of the house and start walking down the street and just walk somewhere.
Yeah.
So what she needed something to let her know. So what we did is we installed some sensors on the exterior doors. We installed a Ring doorbell on the front door. We installed a camera in the garage. So if he left through the garage door, it would catch him on the camera leaving. And then we tied that to an Amazon Alexa device. So, and we put several of these devices around the house. So if she was sitting in their den watching TV and he walked out the front door, which she normally would not hear from in there, her device would say, "The front door opened." And if she missed that, it would catch him on the camera, leaving out on the front porch. Yeah. Well, it was probably within a week it paid off for him, because he left the house and she immediately knew and caught him at the end of the driveway walking off and had him come back in. So, that was a fairly small installation, but that's all they needed. So everybody's different. And if you have somebody living alone, it's a little different than if you have two people living together and one person is, she was effectively his caregiver at this point.
Yeah.
And for this time period right now, this is all she needs, is a little help to let her know if he's leaving the house.
I love that it's so personalized. Like each situation, you do like a full investigation of it and you make sure what you're making or pairing for them will work
Right.
for what they need. That's so important. I remember you told me a situation where there was another company that was doing something similar, but it was kind of a state-of-the-art solution. It was already built and already set up a certain way. And the people that you installed this for, they switched to that and then they ended up switching back because it wasn't personalized enough for them and their use cases. So it's so useful.
Yes, that was a deal that it was a veteran deal, and they had there was a program that provided them with a home, a smart home. We had actually installed our equipment in their previous home a couple of years before this. And then it was this year they were provided with this new home and a smart home. The system was great. It was a very nice quality system that was put in that this organization provided. But the problem with the veteran and his wife were, it was not near as user friendly as what we had installed 2 years ago in their other home. And it basically made their home a smart home, but it was not doing anything particularly to help them that didn't just help anybody that had a smart home. Yeah. You know, there was nothing focused on this person's injuries or condition. And so they had us come in and install the system very much like what we installed in their original home because they found that much more helpful to them.
Yeah. I'm also thinking now, you know, I wonder if there's going to have to be some sort of philosophy behind these systems. Like, for example, if you have children and if you have certain rules of the household and they, you know, are not allowed to open the doors or something of that nature. Please don't open the doors for strangers, you're too young. Or, you know, this certain part of the house, you know, don't open the blinds here at this time because grandma is sleeping or whatever it is. Do you think that these systems will be capable of understanding those types of like rule sets and be able to accommodate that at some point?
Yes, and probably already so now. I mean, if I understand your question correctly, you can create rules in these systems to notify you if something happens, then do this. You know, if this motion sensor triggers, turn on this light. Yeah. I mean, you could even have automated blinds that at a certain time of day they'll close, you know, or at a certain time of evening they'll close. But yeah, AI is changing everything very rapidly. And we just keep finding new solutions that have coming onto the market. We research things coming onto the market, looking for new things that we can implement. And AI really is changing everything, and it's probably going to even change things faster than it already is in the very near future.
Absolutely. So I'm so curious about how that sensor that you were talking about is non-invasive. A lot of people, when they live alone or when they are elderly, they have a lot of concerns about invasive technologies, and they don't want to be watched in their home. And, you know, how do you tell if somebody has fallen if they're not being recorded?
Yes, that is one of the biggest challenges that people don't quite understand what they have, and we have to educate them. I've heard the statement, I don't want to be monitored. Well, I wouldn't want to be monitored with cameras around my house, but with motion sensors that just catches my movement. You know, once they understand what the system's doing, then they feel better about it. But at first, especially with elderly people, if they haven't been working with technology. And I run across plenty that have been working with technology, that this does not scare them. But there's, tech intimidation is pretty prevalent with the older age group. But it just takes education to let them know that when you don't understand something, you fear it more.
Oh, I love that. I love that education is the answer. How do you foresee the future of disabled home care for long term?
As time goes on, the home is going to become more of the point of care. Like just a general doctor's visit could happen at home, and it will start happening at home. I mean, there is a shortage of healthcare workers and nurses and such, but also the technology is such that you can have appointments at home, and that's already happening now to a certain degree with teledoc apps and such. But with the future, that's just going to increase. There's many types of appointments that you could handle at home with the doc, just on a call, just like this.
Yeah.
Talking to a doctor. There's devices that can take vital signs even now. You can get them, and the can take the blood pressure, temperature, anything the doctor wants, like they would take in just a typical visit, and they can get that information without the individual leaving the home. That's just all going to continue to grow and happen more and more.
So much quicker, and with visibility to the patient.
Yes.
Right now, the doctors will run tests and then they'll just tell you, oh, you're fine. And then you're like, oh, okay, right. What did it say? Can I see the report?
Yeah.
They're like, oh, you won't understand it. We'll keep it in the back.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'd like to see it. Yeah, that's wonderful. In many of these instances, do people rent their homes, or are they usually homeowners?
I would say most are homeowners, but some are renters, and that's not a problem. Yeah. Because most of our systems are designed such that they're portable. Most use wireless sensors that use batteries that last a long time, maybe over a year before they have to be changed. We use wireless technology, plug and play things, so it's very non-invasive to the home. And so if you rent it, you're not having to make changes to the home in any way. And if you move, you can take it with you. Now, there is another thing, that if somebody is aging in place, sometimes your typical home is not set up right for them. For instance, they may reach a point that they need a grab bar in the bathroom or in the shower, or a wider door to get a wheelchair through. That requires actually home modifications that you probably can't do with a rented home. And we don't personally do those modifications as a company, but we do what we call a aging in place inspection, where we'll go in and inspect the entire home inside and out. We look at 70 plus items of the home and make recommendations on how to make it safer and more convenient for their situation, which may involve doing some home modifications like widening of doors, or installing grab bars, or taking out a lip on a shower so they can roll in and such. But we look at many safety items too, such as loose rugs that can slip, visual steps, like a step coming up to the front porch. As people age and their eyesight declines, we recommend making that more visible, like a colored strip at the step so you can see it. We'll look at things like, are the house numbers clearly visible on the house in case first responders are trying to find their house in an emergency? All kinds of things that people just don't think about. Yeah. We look at and make recommendations. And that really can, for many things can really only be done in a home that you own. But there's also many things you can do in a rented house that for safety that does not involve altering anything of the structure.
And would you be helping with like coordinating or maybe having connections to people who can coordinate these additions or these kind of implementations of the things that you are recommending for them? Like, will it be a little bit more hand-holding after that?
Well, we can and do make recommendations for people to do certain services if they don't know anybody. If they want a recommendation from us, we know people that they can call, but we don't actually, we hand it off at that point. Say, if you need this done to your house, here's somebody that can do it, and we hand it off at that point.
That's great. And now there are systems kind of like ViziSmart that you could actually just plug these people into this system and then coordinate everyone based on everyone's time frame. And it could kind of be attached to your recommendations. That's great.
Yep.
Yeah. I think you have an incredible mission. I think what you do is so cool. And I think that you're helping so many people. I'm truly inspired by it.
I would say our biggest challenge is people knowing that we exist and what we do. Because we talk to so many people, and when they find out what we do, they think, oh, that's just so cool and everything. And they have not heard of anybody else doing that. Most people don't know that you can get these services
at affordable costs, right?
Right, and that is one of our big goals, is to keep it as affordable as possible, because most elderly people, many disabled veterans, I mean, they can't afford a big expensive system, and we have done a couple of big expensive systems that we no longer do because it's just not practical. I mean, we want to do the best we can for the most people at the lowest cost possible, but still have a reliable application.
Yeah, it sounds like you're on a mission for humanity. I love it. Do you have any advice for our listeners on how they can best take advantage of current tools for their loved ones who may be ill or may be needing assistance?
I would say one item that many people already have, and if they don't, they should get, is an Amazon Echo device or a Google Assistant. I mean, if you have one, that's good. If you have several around your house, that's better. That is a very low cost with a lot of bang for the buck right there. For instance, if somebody fell in a home and they're in the home by themselves and they still have the ability to speak, say they hurt their ankle or something and they can't get up. Yeah. If they have the ability to speak, they can say, hey, Google, or hey, or Alexa, call so-and-so. It can call anybody on their contacts of their phone. They can import their contacts to the device, and they can say, call my daughter. And from right there as they lay on the floor, that device will call their cell phone, and they can speak to them from the floor and say, hey, I've fallen and my foot's hurt. I can't get up, and get help if they have the ability to speak. Because you can use them every day for other things too, even reminders to take medicine or shopping lists or whatever.
So great.
And it's always best to actually start with some things and don't wait till you actually have the need. That's the biggest thing that happens. That happens a lot. They don't even think about it till all of a sudden now they have a problem, and you're scrambling trying to find solutions.
This is incredible. I am so happy that you came on here and shared about what you do and how accessible these technologies are for people and how they can really help their loved ones who are in a tough situation. So I really, really appreciate it. Thank you for all of your stories. And thank you for joining us today.
Oh, it was a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Of course. Bye, Marlin.
Bye.